Morning, here we are. We are on the Aramstone beach, which is on the River Wye in Herefordshire in the UK. We are part way between Ross-on-Wye and Hereford. I've turned up here this morning. The river, really weird. We're at the end of July and the river's up 2-3 feet, which is really weird. It's been a crazy season so far. With the river conditions, the water conditions, just been raining so much, and I thought today I'm going to have a go at all sorts of different methods. I'm going to set up a switch rod, fly rod, and a 9-foot spinning rod to start with, because we're going to see if there's any salmon about. Small salmon maybe, grilled. So we'll have a go at those first. We're going to go through a couple of swims. Then I'm going to set up some coarse rods, float and ledger, and I'm going to go through some other swims, or maybe even the same swim. So we might fish for everything you can think of in this river, all in just a handful of swims. It's said you could get to see what the Aramstone beat is all about, because there's been a lot of chat on social media recently about different beats on the river. I know there's a lot of people visit the area and they want to find somewhere to fish. And this fishery is available. Contact Stan Turner, who's been running the place for 20 odd years or more, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to put some rods together, I'm going to put some baits, some flies, some spinners in the water, and we'll see what we come up with. Alright, be back soon. Jumpy, jumpy. Whoa, yes. That's on film. Right, okay, got two rods set up. First one is a 8 rated switch rod with a floating switch line, 6 to 7 foot tapered leader, and a single hook cascade fly. We're going to use that first in this, which is the pulpit pool. We've foregone the first nearly 3/4 of a mile of the fishery, including the famous whirly hole, because we think the whirly hole's been overfished for barbel. I could get in there after the salmon and sea trout today, but we're resting it totally. The other outfit I've got, because the river is just like it normally is in spring, we wouldn't normally use a flying sea in summer, because the water being clear and low, it would probably frighten more fish than it caught. Usual spinning rod reel, it's a 9-foot Hardy. This boss. Yeah. Now what I have done is I've put a meter of about 80-pound mono before the spinner, because there are a lot of pike in here, and a short piece of 80-pound mono hopefully will I'll be able to get the hook out, because it's a single barbless hook. I don't want to catch pike on this, but they may take it because they're stupid. Right, because we're fly fishing first, hat, glasses. I like my eyes, I like my head. I don't want hooks buried in either, right? So got to remember that. All the other things I need, because I'm so near the car, that's one thing about Aramstone, you can literally, I'm going to be fishing 30 paces from the back of my car. Anyway, so minimum kit, I've got a box of flies because I like to carry them, forceps for unhooking anything, especially the sharp toothy buggers like the pike. And the other thing to remember, a landing net. Will you stop doing that? A landing net, a very big landing net, because the fish in here are very big. We'd like to catch some, and if we do, we would like to be able to land them. Let's go. Although the conditions don't favour the fly rod, I don't know if you can see how murky this water is, it's always worth putting the fly through a pool first, simply because there are more species of fish that will take a fly than there are that will take a spinner. So if you're here just fishing for the sake of fishing, i.e. catching fish, then the fly is the way to go. Because let's see, what have we got? We got salmon, we got sea trout, we've got trout, we got grayling, we've even got perch, chub, oops, that was rubbish, perch, chub, we've even had mullet up this far in the past. I doubt if they go for this sort of fly, but you never know. They'll go for a baited spinner, so they might go for this, but I don't think they're up here yet. They normally come up, they've been seen this far up when it's really hot and sunny and rivers full of green scum. They seem to like it. There we are, no accounting for taste. We just work our way through the pool fairly quickly with this late rate rod, and then we'll come back and get the spinning gear. Now the depth out there is probably 6 feet at the moment. It's a good even flow. There could be a fish anywhere between here and those swans, but as it gets down to where the fly is just approaching now, which is say 30-40 yards ahead of me, it suddenly drops off into a pool, which is called the pulpit. Well, the pool is called the pulpit, but that's because there's where those trees are, there's a bit of a bank sticks out, a bit like a church pulpit. There are dozens of pools on the river called the pulpit, simply because the bank sticks out into the river. You know, it's a traditional name. Now, for some reason, my fly appears to be floating on the surface, which is great if you want a wake fly for sea trout, but we don't want a wake fly for sea trout because a wake fly invariably only catches 2 species of fish. One is the sea trout or suin, and the other is the bass. We're not fishing for bass. You do get them in the river, but a lot further down where the tide comes in. Anyway, enough of my prattling on. Let's carry on fishing and I'll speed this bit up. Right, so exactly the same swim, except with the spinner we can cast a lot further. I've dropped the net on the bank because I'm fairly confident that with this gear, no matter what I hook, I can land it back where the net is, because there's quite calm water here on the side. One thing we do have to watch out for is we don't want to catch pike. Right, for those of you that are new to fishing and are thinking of coming to the Y, you must remember that any kind of fishing in the UK you need a rod license, you need a license to fish. Available from the Environment Agency, you can book it online. You don't have to get a whole year's worth, you can get them by the day, by the week, the fortnight, whatever. It's all there online. I'll leave a note on the top of the page with a link you can go to, and if you're coarse fishing it's one charge, but if you're after salmon or sea trout they are migratory fish and the license fee is quite a bit higher for them. But if you're only fishing for a few days, it's well worth it, because you hook a salmon in this river and that's an experience of a lifetime. Here at Aramstone, Stan always maintains a well-stocked little cabin, tea, coffee, even got biscuits. Occasionally there's a bottle of scotch as well, so especially if you bring one for him. And this is situated opposite one of the most popular pools on this stretch. There's the bridge pool. strangely named because there used to be a bridge here for the railways. Little picnic bench, and some very, very comfortable fishing. We got the bottom end of the Kerry stream. It's about 400-500 metres long. Which is, sort of, at the moment it's probably not wadeable, but this time of year it's normally about knee deep. You can wade all the way down. It's clean gravel. You get barbel, chub, grayling, sea trout, salmon, all on there, and then that comes down into the pool here, which at the moment is probably about 8 to 10 feet deep. I had a nice salmon just off there earlier in the season. I won't be fly or spinning it today because we got a couple of guys who are feeder fishing for the barbel, and I believe that one of them had a fish first cast. Anyway, that's the bridge pool with geese. Right, we finished at the bridge pool. We've had a look at that. Left the guys fishing for their chub and barbel. And we've now come on up to the top of the Kerry stream. It's about 400-500 metres upstream, and we've come to the Kerry Islands. There's a whole series of islands here. 1, 2, 3 I believe. And the far bank belongs to another fishery. We only fish this side, the left hand side, as you're looking downstream. And the best bit here, this is a nice little side stream here that later in the year will be good for the grayling on a nymphing or tenkara, if you're into that sort of weird stuff. I'm just gonna try not to drown myself wading across here. It's not very deep, it's no more than knee deep, and it's a clean bottom, I know. Been across here dozens of times. Right, we are pretty much at the top of what I would normally fly fish. And we are 3/4 of the way. Yeah, 3/4 of the way, 1.5 miles up from the bottom of the fishery. And this is where we've got the rapids that run between the first and second island, where we can fish off this island in front of us, and we can fish off the bank. We can see the other side of the rapids there, but we're not permitted to fish on the far side of that island. That's what they call the doctor's water, but we can fish off here. Now, under normal circumstances at this time of year, you can wade across these rapids and fish the pool below, either with a fly, or it's good for rolling meat, luncheon meat, and float fishing with the sweet corn and luncheon meat down into that pool down there. Now, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be able to do with the fly here today, but I'll go and have a look and see what's available. Right, first question is, can I get across to the island? Well, I'm familiar with the route, so I'm going to give it a go. Wish me luck. Okay, so we're across the other side, and here's one of my favourite pools, which looks to be a little bit turbulent today, but maybe worth coming over with the ledger rod and just putting a lump of meat out there to see if anything wants to come up and play. Good barbel swim this, I reckon, in these conditions. Normally it's a chub or chuck, but hopefully there might be some barbel. But we're going to go just down to the tail end of the island here and fish off, and that gives us a good run left and right of us. With a bit of luck, there could be some salmon or sea trout or something just where the two flows meet. Now, that bank does not belong to us, and in fact this bank I'm stood on looking into the river is not ours either. We can fish this side, that far side, but not this channel. Right, just going to make my way down onto this little gravel bed here. work my way around the corner and see if we've got any swans here this time. No, no swans. Good, right. Well, now you can see the water that's available to us for the fly, or even trotting a stick float down that channel there. Sweet corn, luncheon meat, anything like that. I'll point out that worm as a bait is not permitted here, because if you're coarse fishing with worm you could hook salmon. Anyway, now under normal summer conditions, from here we can wade all the way down 400-500 meters, right the way down to those bridge down there. You may just be able to make out a swan way off down in the distance, and that swan is stood on the bank right next to a very good chub hole, but that's fly fishing all the way down. But I think it's going to be pushing through here a bit too much for us today, especially as I've only got waist waders on, not chest waders, so I'll probably get a bit wet. Anyway, let's chuck a shrimp pattern, tube fly, out there and see if anything wants it. Oh, that's a fish. That is a fish. That's a nice fish. Jumpy, jumpy, jumpy. Whoa, yes. That's on film. Right in here in front of us. Whoa, there he is. Oh, it's a sea trout or a big trout. Not sure which. That's a fish. That's a nice fish too. We're going to net him. Slightly short the line on it. Come on. Ooh. He's enjoying this. Me too. There. Yeah. Last desperate run. Let's get down in the water here. Come on. Come on. And it's in the net. The mouth going back beyond the eye. So that's a nice sea trout. Like today, there's no one else fishing the bridge pool, so we're able to give it a go ourselves. We're going to use the spinner, just come through. You can see the levels are up quite high. There's a crib there that's underwater by about a foot. So the chap was fishing off 2 days ago. So again, you can see where the rivers come up. Now, a lot of the beats here, especially these longer pools, where you can fly fish, you can wade down, fly fish it off the crib, or you can even fly fish it off the bank here. This is where I'm going down a nice little flight of grassed over steps. I mean, from the river, you wouldn't even know they were there, would you? Anyway, to a section of bank that's been trimmed, and it gives us access to the water, but it also gives us access to this lovely little natural, sort of semi-natural platform. Little path that just goes along the side of the river, so you can fish and move when spinning or fly fishing. So I'm going to do a short cast here because we want to bring it back to this pool in front of us. So that cast was a bit too far. Although there's some Canadian pondweed in there. Invasive species. Chokes a lot of rivers and lakes nowadays. Just as likely to get a pike in here as we are a salmon, but salmon and often stay in by the bank in these conditions. Oh, and we've got a complete bird's nest on our reel, so we're going to have to sort that out first. Sorry. There we go. And here comes the first of today's canoes. This is something we have to live with here. There's navigation access on this river, in this lower and middle sections anyway. Fishing from canoes is not possible because unless you've got the permission of the owner of the fishing rights for whichever section you're on, you are in fact breaking the law by fishing from a canoe or out of a watercraft without permission of the fishery owner. It is actually an offence under one of the Wildlife Acts, and it is theft of fishing rights is the correct term. So no fishing from canoes. We can fish from a boat because we pay to fish here. But those just paddling down the river have no right to fish. In fact, as I said, they're breaking the law. It's not an elitism thing, it's just a lot of fisheries. It's all part of the business of the estate that the fishery is on. And if you're not paying for the right, then you are the same as stealing something from a tobacconist or a shop. You're taking something that you haven't paid for. Anyway, let's get back to the job in hand, shall we? Something. You got something that's going off down between the pillars, which is annoying because he can snap us on that pillar. If he gets against the pillar, we are going to have to put the brakes on. He's going to take all the line. That is a salmon, boys and girls, and he's gone right down through the pillars. There's no way I'm going to get him back through there without him rubbing me off on that pillar. That is, do not get on that concrete. Do not get on that concrete. Right. Get this in the net now. It's not ready really, but we're going to pulley it up. Oh, that's a good fish. Come on. Come on. Do not let him get his head down. Nice, got his head down. Bastard. Oh, well, we didn't hook anything. Not even old Esox. Which is probably a good thing because we've only got 80-pound mono on here on this hook length. Probably would have held alright unless he put up a hell of a fight. Right, well at least you've had an opportunity to see the spinning prospects here at Aramstone. Salmon we spin for. We don't spin for the pike at any time of year. We dead bait for those, and it's only a limited number of people are allowed to fish for them because, let's face it, they're not as numerous as things like the barbell and the chub, so we keep the pressure down on them. Anyway, spinning, salmon. Out of the 2-mile stretch, I reckon there's 1.5 miles of spinning, and most of it is accessible like this section of bank you can see here. Right. Okay, so I'm just paddling back out to the pool that behind the rocks at the top of the Kerry stream with the float gear, centre pin. Just going to trot some sweet corn and some luncheon meat down through this pool, just see if there's anything here. I don't know if it's me, but it looks like the river may have come up a bit since this morning when we were here with the fly rod. Or I could just be hallucinating. Anyway, we'll just tuck ourselves in here, behind this rock, so if we don't fall flat on our backsides and get washed off down the river and out to sea. Right, okay. Big rocks under the surface, digs out a hole in the gravel behind it. Now I know that from here right the way down to where it narrows between the willows there is a big deep hole. At the moment it's probably 5-6 foot deep, but we're going to fish at 3 feet to start with, 3 foot to start with, to see if there's anybody home. And because sweet corn is more visible than luncheon meat, we're going to chuck some of that in to wake up the residents. We are then going to put 3, maybe 4 pieces of sweet corn on the size 4 that, and we're going to just let that rumble on down and see if anybody wants to eat it, or it just gets caught on the bottom. Okay, anyway, you get the idea. It's just another piece of water that we've got here that gives you another option for a different style of fishing. It's surprising where you'll find fish on this stretch. I was just wading back to go on down the river, and I remembered there's a bit of a deep pool here right next to this side of the island. On my first cast got hung up in all this lot, so I thought I've ruined it because I'm over knee deep here. I thought, well, it's alright, I'll put some sweet corn on the hook and I'll just drop it in front of me and have a fish take it right there, not even a rod's length in front of me, and I think it was a roach, but it came off. There it goes again. There's another fish. Now let's see if we can see what it is this time. It's a very small chub. Well, look at that. Would you Adam and Eve it? Hey. So I'm hooking these, look, under the rod tip, right in front of me. And I'm stood over knee deep. Strange but true. Well, that's the second one to take it, right here in front of me. So we're just going to keep doing this. See if we can find a bigger one a bit further down. You look at this little pool, it's tiny. Well, I say tiny, I mean, for this river it's tiny. I'm surprised there's not a pike in here as well. Well, it could be. And it starts to shallow once it gets just to that next big clump of willow there, I'm sure, if I remember rightly. Mind you, when I was fishing through here with the fly earlier in the year after the salmon, I did sit, there we are, hey, straight for the cover, got him out. Now, I haven't even wound in yet, so I'm virtually, I could be doing this on a 3-metre whip. Look, there we go, bye now. This is fun, isn't it? Yeah, I could be doing this on a 3-metre whip with no elastic. Anyway, yes, coming down here earlier in the year, I saw a whole line of barbel right in under the bank. All I could see was their dorsal fins sticking out, and they were like just one line of them, and they were hugging all this rubbish. It was just all the way down the side of the rubbish. Water was a lot shallower then. Yeah, so I'm hooking these pretty much where my rob tip is now. Right, so we drop that in there, right in front of us. We let the sweet corn go down, and nothing. Oh, we're actually having to pay out some line now. Maybe that last one spooked. Yeah. Oh, and we missed that one. That was a good fish too. A proper bend in a rod, that did. Don't like bumping them off like that. If anything is going to spook a shoal, that'll be it. Oh yes. That's a fish. That's a good fish. He's running. Now moving back down below the bridge pool, just up there, we come into a section of the river where there are lots of opportunities to either sit and cast a ledger or a feeder rod, or even a nice slow trot with a centre pin from an easy access point. Here we have a crib, but elsewhere you've just got sections of the bank that have been cleared so you can get a good access to the water. And here it's possible to show you exactly what I've got in mind, and that is where you can drift a float down to a feature with that enormous great overhanging willow there. And there's quite a depth of water here. I should imagine it's probably going to be 4 or 5 feet deep. So with the float gear, we'll get a nice big piece of luncheon meat to start with. And we'll just drift that down on the edge of the flow here and let it go down the cut all the way to where that little fish has just risen by that willow. Now I should point out that perhaps we should put the spinner through here for the salmon, because it was this section here that Stan was fishing, and as he brought the flying sea up the edge of this little return here, this little back eddy, he got slammed by a salmon, which is estimated weight at 35 pounds. We believe it's the second largest fish landed in the UK so far this year, and that came from right here just a few months ago. So you see how that float is just gently drifting, hopefully with the bait just bumbling along the bottom, seeking out those fish. Now, maybe we need to go a bit deeper. Anyway, you get the idea. That's not like it. It's a chub. It's a good one, I reckon. Right, well today, as a second visit, I've come back to this, what I call an intimate swim at the top of the beat, towards the top of the beat. We're about 500 metres short of the very upstream mark. I've come back to this peg because I don't think I'd give it justice the other day, partly because I didn't hang around long, but more importantly there was a chap in the swim to my right, the other side of this big willow here, and I didn't realise he was actually feeder fishing just off the point. So you know, it's 2 miles of river here, and even with 20 odd people fishing this one bank, there's no need for you to be side by side unless you're best buddies, and you want to be. So I didn't want to disturb his fishing, so I didn't stay here more than about 20 minutes, and I moved on, which didn't give it a fair shout. Not only that, but I failed dismally 2 days ago trying to catch a barbel to show you. So I'm back at my favourite peg here to try and do so. The guy to my right had some, good for him. But I didn't want to get in his way, so I moved to another peg. And there are hundreds of swims like this on this 2 mile stretch, so there's no need to be sitting next to each other. Anyway, here we are. We're going to give it another go and see if we can get a barbel. I want to catch a barbel, not just because I want to catch a barbel, but also because I want you to see the stamp of fish that we got here. Anyway. A couple of grains of sweet corn on a size 12 to start, just to see how we go on a light ledger, and we're going to drop this in just off those bushes there, just like that. And we just sit here and we wait. I've chucked out a bit of loose feed, but nothing huge, and we'll wait and see what happens.
Couple of you.
Have I just got here? It's finished.
There's a nice salmon nose.
What? When?
Now it's just moved up. There's a nice salmon nose.
I fished that for half an hour. Covered the whole pool, above, all the way from the pike hole, right way down below the pillars.
Yeah, that one.
there's lots of small stuff here after sweet corn, that's about it.
That log out.
Oh,
Yeah, you're my voice.
yeah.
Chap said the other day knew, he said, oh, I got a fish on. He said, as soon as I read something about that. As soon as they hear your voice, they get a fish.
Yeah,
Dabble?
I think so, yeah. 2 grains of sweet corn on a size 12.
Are you videoing that?
Yeah, I got 2 cameras up. Oh, he's trying to get over the bank. Piece of fish. Oh, he didn't like seeing me. I dropped my last tomato. Solid.
You got a place up in there.
Yeah. Oh, done like you.
That could be a double.
Could it? No swearing now. You're on the cameras. Oh, that net ain't big enough.
They ain't big enough.
Net ain't big enough. Here we are, and this is Stan the man landing a fish for me. Look at that beauty. See? That's not far off a double. Oh, God. Not even a 9.
I know how to crush people.
Oh, no. There's an unhooking mat up there.
Yeah, I know, but
I'll try and just get this out while he's here. It's only just in there.
14?
Size 14. Size 12, sorry. Size 12. Yeah.